husband, to be perfectly
I know, right?
to be perfectly honest. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the How to Do Drugs podcast. I am your host, Alia Janine. And today I have the other half of the You Fucked It podcast, Brian Six. Hello, sir.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there.
Yeah. How's Philly?
Philly is doing good.
Yeah.
It's deciding if we're gonna back Tony Hinchcliffe or not.
Oh yeah, that. Yeah, I saw that. That's a little more difficult to
Yeah, I don't know. All I'm gonna say is there's got to be more to that than him just coming out and saying that. There's no way.
There's definitely a before and after.
Sure.
And if I was that person, like if I was that offended by something like that, like especially if I was hosting, like I probably would have said something like after, taking him off the stage or whatever, or socked him. Like I don't have a problem doing, like I choose violence all the time. So
that's absolutely.
Chris
the crowd was
had
laughing.
Yeah, Chris Scopo had a great tweet where it's like normalize punching people in the face when they insult you, not putting it on Twitter to let the public do your dirty work, kind of thing. And I'm for that. I think more people need to be punched in the fucking face.
Absolutely. We've talked about that on our podcast where it's like between like people saying like, he assaulted me. I'm like, well, I don't know about assault, but and when they're talking about fighting and it's like, you've never been in a real fucking fight. You've never gotten your face smashed in. Mm-hmm. It's like the same thing with like the, I don't know. People say that they're alcoholics these days. And I'm like, no, you're not.
No.
Like my idea of an alcoholic is way different than what like people today are like, I have a drinking problem. I'm drinking every weekend. I'm like, that just sounds awesome. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Like there's a difference between being a drunk and an alcoholic. Like I'm a drunk when I go out, and especially now because I haven't been out that much, I'm super sloppy. I'm so sloppy.
Yeah.
But when I go out and I drink, like I drink to get drunk, but do I drink every day? Am I trying to drink like mouthwash or rubbing alcohol? No, that is alcoholism.
Yeah, it's like do you wake up in the morning and need alcohol to function?
Yeah.
It's like, then you're not an alcoholic. Like that's like all my uncles and my cousins, like, they're all contractors. It's like, dude, I remember being like 14, 15 years old, and before going to the site, we'd stop at a bar. There's a bar like right in South Philly that opened specifically for contractors, and it was like 30 of them, and they're just getting housed.
Mm-hmm. Or like the all the bars in Wisconsin, they open up at like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning for all the third shifters and stuff like that. So there's like functioning alcoholics. My one of my ex's dads like owned a huge business. He drank all day, every day, just sipped, but was perfectly functional. Yeah. And had a great business. So yeah, there's sloppy alcoholics. There's just a whole slew of alcoholism. Have you ever worried about being an alcoholic, Brian?
No. We have alcoholics in the family, like both sides. And it's like, dude, my mom and her whole side of the family is, from Northern Ireland. So it's like they don't
that's
understand.
More of a lifestyle.
Yeah, like they're in the bar at like 7 a.m. drinking, but also it's like, damn, that's crazy. And I tell people, I'm like, yeah, but the bar's done by like 10. You know what I mean? Like they're up early to drink. They go do their fucking, herd the sheep, whatever the fuck they're doing. And they're in bed by fucking 9 o'clock. But that's like my mom's whole side of the family. They're early drinkers. Okay. They start well before noon, but they're like done by drinking. 7. Yeah. They're done before. They're like, my mom will be in bed by like 8 p.m.
Jesus, that's hilarious. Yeah, that's very similar to how Wisconsin is as well. They're just people just drink. There's just drinkers. Yeah. I can't drink that way anymore. Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm mad at it or happy. I'm a cheaper date. That's
I think everybody is a cheaper date right now going back out, with everything opening up. It's like you need like 3 and you're like, good God, I'm fucking wasted.
It is it is very, very funny. That's why I'm like, I think I need to go out at least once a day, just to like get acclimated back into normal society.
Yeah, no, that helps.
It totally helps. So you and I are around the same age, which is what I love about us, because you used to be a skater.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
used to hang out with a bunch of skaters, and you actually like know a bunch of people that like my friends like looked up to because you're friends with a bunch of pro skaters and stuff like that. So growing up in Philly, tell me about like skating and that kind of stuff.
So I guess I was like, I don't know, I was maybe like 8 or 9 when I had a neighbor. My neighbor Carrie was he was a skater, and this is in the days of like right when the transition of like one tailed decks would go to double noses. And it's like that was a big thing in
Mm-hmm.
skateboarding. So like my hero growing up was like
Mm-hmm.
the reason I started skateboarding was because of Mark Rogalski,
Mm-hmm.
who's also known as Gator. Now, when I was, I guess I was probably like 9 or 10 when he was turned himself in for murder. And I was like, what? And I remember specifically coming home that day, and my mom was like in the kitchen, and I knew like he was going in. I didn't really fully understand what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then I walked in and she was like, he did it. And I remember my world just crumbled. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a really fucked up story with him. And he was like king of like he was running shit between like him and like Tony Hawk and that whole crew. They were like that West Coast half pipe guys. Uh they were killing it. But when that transition kind of came in and the East Coast started doing more street skating, they couldn't really transition. Everyone was like, yeah, Vert's gay, dude. Nobody wants to fucking watch anybody on a half pipe.
Yeah.
So Philly was a big part of that because we had Love Park and City Hall, and Love Park, it's gone now, but it was it was like a hub for fucking skateboarding. So
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first time I went down there, I was probably like 11. I went with my neighbor Carrie. He brought me down there. I didn't even skate. Like I just sat on the side and watched. And I remember thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna be in those lines, because there's always like lines that you had to wait to get on. There's
Yeah.
they called the one part, like if you looked at the Love Park sign, the LOVE,
Mm-hmm.
to the left was called the main ledge, and to the right there was the other ledge, and then they had the levels going down to the fountain. And I just remember being like, I'm gonna fucking be I'm gonna be crushing, and like I remember when I was like 13 or 14, when I actually started like knowing what I was doing, I went down there cocky as fuck. And yeah, I remember I snaked a very prominent figure of Love Park, which his name's Rick Oyola. And Rick, like, dude, Rick ran Love Park. He was the man. But he
Mm-hmm.
was a very aggressive Jersey guy. And I snaked him, meaning like I wasn't waiting in line. I was like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
fucking hit this trick. Went right around him, and I hear him start screaming. He's like, "Who's this fucking dork?" Because he has this thick ass Jersey accent, and fucking, he's like, "Yo, hey, fucking, this dork's fucking coming over here skating, fucking blah blah blah." I just remember like I was like, I got to go harder. I was like, "Fuck you, dude," and everyone's like, "Whoa!" And luckily, I guess he was in a good mood that day or something, because
Because you're
like,
still alive.
yeah, I didn't realize what I was doing. I just thought like, dude, that's it, man. Like I've
Yeah.
seen prison movies. You got to fucking beat the shit out of the biggest dude in there,
Yeah.
which was
Show
totally
dominance.
uncalled for. Yeah, totally uncalled for. So anyway, so like there was a whole like crew from a skate shop called Sub Zero, and Sub Zero was kind of the crew that ran Love Park and City Hall and Temple and Penn and the Drexel, all that stuff. And I don't know. We just had a little crew. We were like the fucking, we thought we were the fucking gods. We were going up to New York, to the Brooklyn Banks. We were
And
starting
you're like
fights up there.
13, 14, 15 around this
At
time?
this point, I was probably like, yeah, like 15.
Oh
And
God, yeah, no, you're definitely a little
yeah, and
asshole.
yeah, we were total pricks. We were starting fights at every park competition. It was a crazy time, but also it was skateboarding was a completely different animal back then. It was like, yeah,
Hmm.
everybody wanted to go pro and everybody wanted to, be a skater for the rest of their life. But now it's like a, core incorporated businesses. It's like a
Yeah, yeah,
fucking
like it's a
machine.
real job.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, half the guys I know that I skated with that went pro, they all started investing in their own companies years ago because
Hmm.
they saw that coming and they saw the potential it had. And then when the X Games hit, it was
Oh
massive.
God, the X Games, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was a big thing for Philly because X Games actually
Hmm.
came twice back to back and
Hmm.
back to back summers to Philly. And what was fucked up about that was the year Mayor Street, John Street was the mayor here. and he put in a law for no skating at Love Park. And if you were caught, like it was like the biggest punishment, all this bullshit. And then all of a sudden he's allowing the X Games come and they're doing a street competition in Love Park. And we're all like, what the fuck? And Kerry Getz, who's was an amazing skateboarder and friend, he ollied over a street, and that was on the cover of the fucking Inquirer. And we were all like, what the fuck? You should have kicked the fucking board out on his head. You know what I mean? That was a great opportunity to beat the shit out of him.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I have to look at that picture to see if I ever saw that. So growing up and doing that, how was the drug scene in that like era of skating
heavy.
and stuff like that? Yeah.
Very heavy. It was well, the other thing about Love Park was, other than the fact that it was like the best skate spot for us around in the city, it was also the best drug using spot for homeless. So like there was like there was always homeless people and drug addicts in Love Park. I think nobody really paid attention because we were young and dumb and we didn't really give a shit and we just focused on skating. But like if I were to go back there right now, it's like, Jesus Christ. Like I wouldn't let my 15-year-old skate down there if it was like back then. No fucking way. So like there was always, there was a lot of heavy heroin and crack but you know,
with the boarders or just like with the homeless people around the skateboarders?
The homeless people around the skateboards. Okay. I don't think I ever saw a skater fucking spiking up. I don't know, maybe. I definitely saw skaters like doing blow off the bottom of their decks. Like I saw that and I was like, yeah,
I've done
cool,
that.
Bro.
I mean,
yeah, I was doing that 10 minutes before I fucking logged on. But it was like I see that and I would just act like it was normal. You know what I mean? I'd be like, oh, dude, totally cool. Classic Love Park, just doing blow off of skateboard decks.
Yeah, slightly terrified and intimidated.
Oh my god, terrified. Like I remember the first time I smoked weed down there, and I was like 15, and I had smoked weed before and got high, but I've never done it in a setting like that. When you're younger, you like set up your nights of smoking weed.
Yeah, when you're younger, yeah.
So when I was down there, I smoked weed, and I was like, I can't move. You know what I mean? I remember I ended up just walking across the street, and there used to be a Wendy's there, and I just sat in the Wendy's for like 6 hours.
Just high as hell.
Yeah, I thought I'd be cool because I was like, yeah, dude, everybody's smoking.
Yeah.
And, I was smoking weed with all the cool kids, and then I was like, yeah, this is way over my head. I shouldn't be doing this. So I'm gonna head over to Wendy's. You guys want anything? All right, see you. And then my buddies came over like 5 hours later. They're like, dude, you're still in here? I was like, yeah, I can't move. I'm fucked up.
I've never I guess off of edibles I've gotten like that level of stoned, but never not even like, well, with dabs I've definitely gotten that high off of dabs where it's just this 5-hour fucking like high where I didn't think I was ever gonna come down. And as much as I love smoking pot and being that high, like the come down is also very nice, but when you don't have that come down, I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna be like this forever. Like you really do feel like
I only did dabs once. I think I've told you about it, but yeah, I did dabs once, and that was not that long ago. That was like, I guess like 5 years ago now, like 4 or 5 years ago. That was the one and only time I did it. Now I'm not against them. I just, that was the one time it presented himself, and I did way too much. And I thought, I was like, yeah, fuck this, dude. And I drove from South Philly over to my house, which is like basically West Philly. And I'd have Matt McCusker, who I was living with at the time, bring me in like a fucking, airport. Yeah. I was so fucked up. And it was, I mean, I look back, it was so stupid, but I had no idea. And my buddy Brian Fennell, who gave it to me, was telling me like, dude, that's too much. And I was like, dude, you're a pussy, dude. Light this thing up. Because I treated it like I was like, dude, it's weed. You know what I mean? Like, at this day and age, especially in this time in my life, I've smoked so much weed to the point where it's like, dude, nothing's gonna get me. Never mind, this got me. I'm fucked up.
Yeah, dabs are pretty gnarly. The first time I did it, I smoked it like they had an attachment for a bong, so it was like a real bong hit of a dab. And because any of like the dab kits and stuff like that, it always feels like I'm smoking crack. And
yeah, because I was just gonna say, the dabs you have to say, like Fennell had the glass, Like it looked like an old Pyrex bong, but it was specifically for fucking dabs, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so there's that, but then they also have like these dab kits where they have like this little jar, and then like you put the dabs in there, and then you take like either a metal or glass pipe and you light it up so it gets really hot, and then like you
Very methy, very fucking crack methy.
meth crack. It's so but the first time I had it was out of a bong, and I'm like, and that's when I got ridiculously high, and I'm like, okay, well maybe not like because I took a big ass fucking because I love bongs, and I was like, yeah, and then I was like, no.
Yeah, that's great.
But we also had to do it was for my buddy Evan's podcast. It was like we smoke a dab and then do a podcast, and I was like, I don't remember a single fucking thing I said on that goddamn show.
Yeah, that's I don't know. I it's weird too because smoking weed with comedy, now I'm going on like a better part of a decade with it. It's like I could probably count on one hand how many times I smoked weed before a show, and now I know dudes that you know, we probably know a lot of the same comics that like they have to smoke weed before they go up, and it's like that's fine. I have nothing against it, but for me, I don't know. Maybe because I didn't when I started, I never did it, so I never caught on. I mean, the last time I smoked weed before I went on, I was opening for Lewis and Metzger at Punchline in Philly, and fucking it was the it was the Friday night shows, and there was two of them, a 7, an 8, and a 10, and fucking after the 8, in between shows, you know, of course Lewis is on his like 15th blunt. We go in the green room. He lights one up. Me and him were talking about something. Oh, we were talking about, I think, like Skankfest or something. And fucking, he passed it to me because it was just me and him. I don't know if Metzger was in there. But anyway, I fucking just took it because it was just a natural thing.
Yeah,
you know what I
mean?
mean?
Didn't even think about
talking, it. Didn't even think. I hit it and then passed it and I hit it again. And then I think I hit it one more time. And I was like, oh, fuck, dude. Take this back. And he was like, what the fuck's wrong with you? I was like, nothing. Yo, let's go. I went out and I was supposed to be doing because it was just me and those two were kind of co-headlining. So I was going out to do like 20, and I think it was like I was at like 29 minutes, and I was like, I feel like I've been up here a while, but I was doing good. I was doing okay. And then I stopped, and I remember telling the crowd, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to bring out your first headliner. And I'm going to be honest with you, I love this guy, but if you're ever wondering how good Lewis's weed is, I forgot there was a second show, and I think I've been up here for like an hour. And I look back and I see like two managers just like flying phones.
Oh,
and I was like,
God.
So like, they didn't care. They were laughing because they thought, you know, and I got up, and Lewis and Metzger had no idea. Like I went, I was like, dude, I can't believe I fucking went like, 9-10 minutes long. And Lewis was like, did you? Metzger was like, I didn't even know we started. I was like, all right, fucking, it's like the perfect two to get that fucked up before a show with. I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, I like to smoke pot. Like I'll smoke like a bowl or something at home, and then like take a train, to a show. But like to smoke right before, I don't. I don't like to do that. Like I also don't like. I have a limit of how much I could drink before I could go on to.
I'm not a big drinker before shows.
Yeah, like normal 1, maybe 2, but yeah, I try not to go on. There is one show. It's like a midnight show at the Huron Club, or no, it was like 1. It was like, I don't know. It was fucking late, but like we were smoking and stuff in there. It's kind of like a private show, and it was the first time I ever did comedy on blow too.
Oh yeah, that's never good. How'd that go? You're like, I was supposed to do 5. I did 16 hours.
Well, I informed everybody how fucked up I was. I mean, everyone's in there.
I went out there. I was like, listen, I am gummed. All right, people. Like, you're gonna hear about my internet ideas.
And like, can you hear my teeth right now? I'm like, can you see them? Because I can't feel them, kind of thing. No, it was interesting. They laughed, but I was like, I'm not gonna do that again. That is definitely a no. Yeah, it's good to know your limits before stuff like that. You gotta test it out though. You don't know unless you try. That's always been my philosophy.
I kind of have the same thing. It's like depends on what I'm doing. If I'm just doing like a 10-minute spot or that to feature or whatever. Like if I'm like so when we go out on the road, and if it's me, Gillis, and O'Connor, so like it would be me, Chris O'Connor, and Shane going out, and then sometimes it's just me and Shane. But if it's all 3 of us and like I'm hosting or or Chris is hosting, we'll switch off and on.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm hosting, I don't give a fuck. Party time, dude. At this point, I mean, dude, 5 years ago, no fucking way. But now it's like, I'm not going to get hammered.
Yeah. But you also like, your material,
I mean, dude, yeah, 10 minutes at this point is just, I'm going up. I'm not going to get into anything crazy. Yeah. I'm going to fuck around with the crowd, weed out the talkers, wait for them to get settled, blah, blah, blah. And then it's done. So it's like, that's all I need to do. And I'm always conscious of it. And I, like you said, like you kind of have your limits now. And it's like, it's crazy. It's almost like as a golfer knows which club and how far it hits. That's me with fucking comedy time,
It's also just called being mature and getting older.
Is it? Yeah, I guess so.
Maybe. I don't know. I try to say that stuff and people are like, we don't use those words around here.
I know.
Responsibility. What? So in Philly, did you guys have, because as I grew up in Wisconsin, and little suburb outside of Milwaukee is where I went to high school, but we used to spend a lot of time in Chicago. We went to a lot of raves and stuff like that, like a lot of like the underground raves when they were still actually like good, before Ticketmaster took over, basically. Did you guys have like a big like party scene, like rave scene out in Philly?
I mean, let's see. I mean, we weren't really the crew I ran with. We didn't really do raves. I know they had them in the city. You know what I mean? Like, I think I might have like accidentally stumbled into one, not knowing it was, you know what I mean? But I was never like going or planning to go to raves. We had more of a, I always laugh at like, if you watch Kids, okay?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay. So
that was our answer.
That was like, very, very similar to those days. It's them skating at like, I think they're at Washington Square Park, and then there's the fight. They beat some dude up with a skateboard. Then they go back to some shithole apartment and do nitrous with 50 fucking people. It's like, yep. So like, yeah, like Stevie Williams, who's the man. I love Stevie, but he used to have an apartment years and years ago, and that was like 30 fucking people in there at any point, and it was exactly like Kids. I mean, I remember Justin Pearson and Harold Hunter coming down to Love all the time. Like they were down there a lot, and this is that was Casper and fucking well, I think his name was just Harold in the movie, but Justin, I didn't really know him. I definitely talked to him a few times, and then, he passed away. But then Howard was the man. Howard was a good dude. Like, I remember him being super ugly as shit, but super nice. I just remember thinking that it's horrible to say now since he passed away, but it's like, I remember seeing him and being like, dude, that might be the ugliest fucking dude I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I was also a 15-year-old Philly kid, so it was like, fuck you, because we had a big issue. We didn't have a huge issue, but we definitely started a lot of shit with skaters from New York.
I can see that rivalry or whatever.
They were the same people. It's like us in Boston. You know what I mean? It's like Philly and Boston yelling at each other. It's like we're both retarded. So it's like I get it. But like the New York squad, they used to come down to Philly all the time, and they used to do competitions at like FDR Park, or there was a couple like pop-up competition things, and we started shit with them, and then we'd go up to the Brooklyn Banks, start shit up there. But it was nothing crazy. I think there was more fighting within the Philly skating between Love Park and FDR, because FDR, than with any other cities, because FDR bred a different kind of skateboarder. They were park skaters. So like these dudes did not look to do single tricks and lines, not coke. I mean, like lines of skating.
I know.
Oh, they were doing way more drugs than us, but they were like the I don't know how to describe them. They were more like the hardcore fucking, punks, fucking, metal. Whereas we came
better punks, as we call them.
Put it like this. I'll give you an example. I remember I went down there and we were the Wiggers, dude. We came down, we were fucking baggy jeans. We were like, what up, dog? Fucking Wiggers. This, that, and the other. Yeah, we were. I remember being down there, and Josh Callis was there. Josh is a good friend, and Josh is the man, and he's pro and has been for years. But we went down there and got booed out of FDR.
Ooh.
Because we didn't skate like the lot, like they drop in on one part and they rip around. There's no pushing at FDR really. You're just pumping and flying, and it's it's a cool thing to watch, but we were like, this is gay. So like we were finding like the one pyramid that they call it the starting pyramid there. We were just like skating up to that, coming up and like popping like kick flips or like, you know, fucking hard flips or something, and then riding it back down and like doing single tricks. And they're like, go back to Low Park, you fucking pussies. And it was, at first, I remember being like, dude, let's fuck these dudes up. And then like, they're all like 40-year-old contractors and we're like 15 years old. But
yeah.
we're like, yo, we're gonna ride on these
mix.
pussies.
Yeah,
that's dumb shit.
You had mentioned nitrous. Were you big into nitrous?
I was big into selling it. We got a yeah, we had 2 tanks. We got a 3-foot tank and a 5-foot tank off of my buddy Rob's older brother. And we found out at a pretty early age, I think it was like sophomores in high school, that all you needed was a specific card at this one place that was down like 56. So it was like West Philly. Mm-hmm. That if you went in with this card, they would just fill your tank for like, I don't know, I think it came out to like $85 or something. And
for a full tank?
Yeah. Because all you had to say was you're a custom car guy and you had this thing. So my buddy's older brother, who was a nut job, but like knew everyone in the city. Like we used to call him Worldwide because he knew fucking everyone. Mm-hmm. You couldn't walk 5 feet with this kid without him getting into a conversation. So like he found that out, and basically we would just have to give him X amount off the top and then the rest was ours. And this family, my buddy Rob and his older brother, which is crazy because they used to like hang out in the gutters and shit down in bad neighborhoods that I wouldn't even go to. They're so rich, it's insane. It's a weird thing. I don't know why, but his father and his 2 brothers invested in the Aramark very early on in Philly, and then Aramark took over a ton of shit in Philly, like the concessions at all the sports stadiums and everything like that. Mm-hmm. They owned the farm. They owned blocks in West Philly. Put it like this: I remember we drove down there, and Rob's brother would be like, "Yo, pull it up on the sidewalk," and we were like, "What?" He's like, "Yo, pull it up on the sidewalk." And I'm not trying to be aware he was black, so. He'd be like, yo, pull it up on the fucking sidewalk. And I'd be like, are you fucking serious? He's like, put it right there. It's fine. And we'd just be parked on the sidewalk with people like walking around the car while he went and got our tank filled. And he'd just come walking out with a fucking 5-foot or 3-foot tank.
Fucking nitrous tank.
Yeah. And then we'd go to fish shows and make a ton of money because that's all we did. I mean, when fish came to town, it was fucking payday.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can make a lot of money off of those things because I remember like at certain raves and like parties and stuff like that, they just had like those big ass punching balloons. Remember? Do they even?
That's what we would do. We would do the concert balloons for like 20 and fucking, or we would say towards the end before they would all go in, if we were scrambling and had some left, we would tell people, give us fucking $20-$30 and just suck as much as you can. Yeah. I mean, if there's some left, that's great. If not, you know.
Nitrous really is hippie crack. Like they fucking love that shit.
I know. And the best part about it was we were like, 15 or 16 years old and we could beat up every single person in the fucking parking lot. We were like, dude, these guys ain't gonna sue shit.
Well, yeah, they're all about love and peace and stuff, aren't they? I've never been to a fish show. I never understood.
Yeah, I've never seen Fish in concert, but I've tailgated probably 15 shows. I've never seen them. I don't even know if I've ever heard them. All I know is like they're a big like a jam band, and I don't know. Their songs are like 18 minutes long.
Like really long, and I don't understand it. But then again, I used to listen to techno, and I can't listen to that now unless I'm on drugs.
I couldn't listen to that even then. Like the whole EDM is EDM just the new techno?
Yeah, they just changed.
It's just like with ecstasy, Molly.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. Yeah. Well, when I first heard about Molly, someone had said that, Molly is supposed to be like the purest form of ecstasy. It's supposed to be like super pure. And I'm like, you guys, like for some reason, Generation Z just likes to take things and just rename them and be like, this is ours now. It's like the Michael Che show with Brooklyn.
If you're getting any drugs in America, it's not pure.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. It's
especially in New York. Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh my God. It's stomped 16 times before it gets to your head.
Oh God, if not more. Like it was funny because I was thinking like the cocaine that I used to get in like Chicago and even like Wisconsin, like it wasn't as bad as like the stuff here in New York, which is weird. And it's gonna sound horrible, but I'm like, we have a really high Mexican population in Wisconsin.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's very large. German and Mexicans, very well, Hispanic in general. Population, and I'm like, I think a lot of those dudes bring it from
Of
Mexico,
course. The
and that's
cartel's
why
like, we need to hit there, dude. Milwaukee
yeah, and that's why
rules.
it's not and that's why it was like, yeah, I've had some great cocaine in obviously LA, because Mexico is right there. Did you know that the dude, Johnny Depp, the movie Blow, I forgot his fucking name, but that dude
George
just
Young?
yeah, he just died.
Yeah, me and Shannon just talked about it on the podcast.
Oh,
Yeah. Which
yeah.
I was like, dude, that's got to give some hope to fucking cokeheads that are like really engulfed in the drug, because that dude lived till 78. He died of kidney, and I think he had like kidney failure. He had obviously health issues going up, but it's like,
Yeah,
I mean, 78, good for
that's
him,
old
dude.
as shit.
Yeah, this guy
Yeah.
was doing fucking 5 grams in 5 minutes for years. It's like, dude, I don't think people appreciate how fucking much that is. I remember watching that in that movie for the first time, and I was like, wait, what? Because I was selling a lot of blow at the time. And when
Yeah.
I watched Blow and he said 5 grams in 5 minutes, I was like, he said grams? Good God.
Yeah, that's an insane amount. So you dealt a lot of drugs, huh?
Yeah.
You're a big dealer.
Yeah, it was very easy in our area. It's great because you have Philly, which is obviously the hub, and then like the surrounding areas, which is like, you have Delco, and then you have Northeast Philly. So they're all like, 15, 20 minutes outside of the city. But 90% of the people there are terrified to come into the city. And since my family is embedded in this fucking city like fucking ticks, that I had no problem. And we already had hookups. So we were coming in and making a lot of money doing it. It was so easy. It was I mean, I really look back and regret how much I didn't rip people off, but I should have been way more heavier on the baby laxative, but I wasn't.
Oh God, that's the worst. So Coke, okay, so Coke, nitrous. What else did he used to sell? Pills or anything like that?
Pills, I mean, that's the one thing I actually regret it. For about 3 years, we made like hand over fist money with perks, and fucking it hit Philly really fucking bad. Actually, there's a season of Intervention that is literally based in Philadelphia. It's in Kensington. And obviously it's more for the heroin, but like obviously Oxy, Percocet, all the pills are an issue too. But this was like 2008, 2009 when it got horrifying in Philly. Like it was bad. And me and my buddy, who we were working at the same job, we capitalized on it because he was sober. He's a recovering alcoholic. I don't really like pills. I'm not a big fan of Percocets or anything like that. Any injuries I got from skating, I usually would just either drink away or fucking just ignore it. But I don't know. I used to get like really nauseous when I'd eat like a Percocet or something. So I just didn't like it. Then I realized how much money people were spending on it. And I was like, can we get a hookup on this? We got like, I don't know, 2 or 3 plugs and fucking, I mean, I look back, that was probably one of my biggest regrets ever. It was number 1, not saving the money from that. Number 2, just kind of contributing to how awful that was. Because I was like, what the fuck? Pandemic? Fucking, that means money time, dude. Let's get it. And that's a horrible attitude. But
but when you're younger and like, you don't realize the repercussions of like the opiate crisis. So you helped with that. So thank you.
Yeah, I didn't sell heroin. So there you go.
I mean, technically, perks are legal. I mean, a lot of people get addicted to them just from their doctors prescribing them to them. It's I've also never really been big into pills. What do you think is your favorite drug? Besides alcohol?
Besides alcohol, I don't know. I like mushrooms. Mushrooms are great.
Really?
Yeah, but I see, that's the thing. Like, I'm not. I don't know. I feel like the drugs. I'm not really a big drug guy. Where it's like, I don't know. As you get older, it's like, if it's there, cool. You know what I mean? Maybe. And it's so funny. It's like I was laughing the one night when it was like we were all out and about and fucking. I think there was people at Molly or whatever, and I was just like, nah, because you start thinking ahead, which is like, Jesus, I'm old. You know, it's like, what
what do I have to do tomorrow?
Exactly, because I'm done for like a day if I eat one of those. You know.
Mushrooms
So
never really fuck me up though, like the next day, you know, unless
I
like
do love Molly though. Like Molly is fucking great, or XC, whatever the fuck. But
yeah.
it is great. It's just the idea of like, man, I just want it to be done when it's done. You know what I mean? Like that was my whole thing. That was why, with booze, it was whatever. Because when you're younger, I don't know, I almost kind of liked having hangovers because I was like, well, time to drink again. You know what I mean? It's like, but now it's like, if I do drugs, it's like, cool, let's do it. Let's have some fun for the allotted time and then be done with it, which is such a gay way to look at it, but it's like, whatever.
But it is. It's because we're older and we have shit to do and our
Sure.
bodies can't
Yeah,
fucking handle
exactly.
it. And when it comes with Molly, because it does like deplete a lot of like your dopamine and like
Oh my
serotonin,
God,
like
yeah.
all of your happy chemicals. So you are like legally like depressed for 3 days. Like
Yeah.
it takes about like 3 days before like everything starts like going back to normal, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it does. I have some candies now that I still haven't taken them. I've taken them this past summer, but they're like 1200 milligrams, or no, 1500 milligrams of MDMA, 1200 milligrams of LSD, and then like 1000 milligrams of THC.
This is like a combination.
Yeah. My
Good
buddy,
Lord.
my
What's it
little,
called?
my
See you
little,
next week. Having a couple see you next weeks. It's gonna be a good one.
my little candy man, Sam, had made them the first time. He's like, here, try these. I'm like, what are them? And he told me, I'm like, there's no way all of that are in these. Cause I mean, it's all like liquid and powder and whatever. And I took them and I was like, holy fuck. Yeah. Then
He made them?
Yeah. He makes like all because I have custom candies. He's Candyman Sam.
Okay. That's funny because that just reminded me of something. Because all right, I can tell this, which is it's funny when it comes to people making drugs, because I always think of one story specifically,
Okay.
which is okay, so this was like, God, this is probably at least 4 years ago. And where I live now, it was me, Gillis, and O'Connor living here. And one night, fucking McCusker was making brownies, or I'm sorry, chocolates.
Okay.
So he was making mushroom chocolates, and he was like, I'm gonna make them. Turns out not great with measurements. And we had them in our freezer for like, I don't know, a couple weeks. And then one night it was me and Shane. I think we were down at Helium. We came back and it was kind of late. It was like 11, and Shane was like, yo, fuck that. Let's eat. It's first time. He's never ate mushrooms.
Okay.
Yeah. I said, well, we have McCuster's chocolates. He's like, yo, we should eat them. Well, that fucking fucked me up. I was like, you know what? We'll split one. Go from there. So we split one. And I remember, I think we called McCusker maybe 20 minutes in, because all of a sudden I just heard Shane go, oh shit. And I was like, what the fuck? And McCusker was like, nah, dude, it's going to be more like, I added some like THC in there. It should be way more mellow. I was like, you're not good at measuring at all. This is so much mushrooms in this. It is, I don't know what you did. We were so fucked up. We watched, okay, so there's a clip on YouTube of Soder on Cumia's show, right when Compound opened, and he's doing his Macho Man impression, which is, if you haven't seen it, it's insane. Yeah, it's better than Macho Man. We watched that clip of him doing Macho Man, I shit you not, I'd say probably 45, 50 times in a row. Okay. Just kept laughing. We were laughing so fucking hard. And then he was out in Arizona doing shows that night. Soder. We texted him, like, I think Shane texted him, yo, I ate chocolate mushrooms and me and Six are watching your fucking Macho Man impression. I'm dead. Okay. He texts back immediately. He's like, I wish I was there because I feel like this woman's dead at my show. He took a picture at the show, and there's a lady front row, just head on the table, just pass the fuck out. So that just sent us to orbit. We were dying,
just
and
tears.
We didn't think he'd even fucking respond because we figured, whatever. But like, I just always remember that because it was just so funny watching it, and then the fact that Dan replied almost immediately and was like, dude, look at this fucking dumb bitch asleep in my show. She was like obviously hammered, but
yeah,
it was so fucking funny. But that when you said measuring, your buddy makes them, I remember like McCusker trying that and being like, dude, you are not great with measuring this stuff.
Yeah,
like,
some of
way
them,
too much.
Some of them are not. At least like now, edibles, like people are getting better at making them and stuff like that. Because there'd be times it's just like, oh, you just want a little bit, especially with like mushrooms and stuff, and you want a microdose. Like I've given Shane shrooms too.
Yeah,
actually, on Halloween one night. I don't know if, well, it was me. Yeah, it was a couple of us. It was hilarious. But yeah, the measurement. Sam is actually very, very good at the measuring.
okay.
Very meticulous.
I'd be terrified to do that if I was I would be so scared. I'm like, I'm gonna kill someone. I know it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you can die from mushrooms. Like
no. I mean, just mixing or measuring my own, like making drugs to me is terrifying. Yeah, it'd be horrible.
Yeah, I rather just do them. You know what I mean? It's like, I it's like designing your own clothes. It's like, I rather just
exactly
else that's already kind of done for me. I do want to take those. He also gave me some that are acid and mushrooms.
Yeah, see, I don't like acid. I don't like
No, you're not a big acid guy.
Nah, I don't know. I'd rather just take mushrooms. It's easier. It's more mellow for me. With acid, it's just every time I've taken it, I've never had like bad trips. It's too intense and I'm up for fucking 2 days and I'm like, I hate this shit. Why do I always why am I still taking it?
I think because I have ADHD and I think you do too, right? We have talked about this before, not on the show, obviously. Absolutely. But I think something, because like there have been certain times that I have taken acid where it does seem like I'm never coming down. And I wonder if that has to do something with like with ADHD and just always being like kind of up, you know what I mean? And it is
exactly.
very cerebral.
I would think so.
And kind of thing. Yeah. Acid is one of those things where it's like, yeah, I do need a day off the next day. Mushrooms, normally I'm fine, but acid, especially now, definitely a little bit more. What about DMT? We've talked about DMT before.
Yeah, DMT. It's funny because I've gotten a pretty I've got a pretty solid label as a DMT addict recently, which is fucking hilarious to me. I mean, I don't give a shit, but it's fucking hilarious. But like, so I've done DMT, I don't know, handful of times, 5-6 times total, 7 times maybe, I don't know. But the thing with DMT is like, so we had a guy, he brought some over here and he made it, and he was doing it because he was I believe he was a vet and he was using it towards the PTSD studies.
Yeah, it's actually a lot of that stuff can be very beneficial.
Yeah, and it's not hard to do it. Like all you have to do is get that root and like, I don't know, like I know a couple of people trying it right now. See, I don't know how it'll pan out.
Yeah, I think you could like order it online. Actually,
I don't think it's hard to do. But every time I've done it, put it like this: I have heard in 5 to 7 times I've done it, I've heard 5 to 7 different ways to do it. And I've never heard one person go, 2 people agree on the same thing. It's like, no, you have to do it like this. There's got to be a little weed. You have to use this type of lighter. You have to, put this amount of DMT. I'm like, I see. Too much. You're already fucking, I'm done. Just give me a beer. It's like, I've had fun on it. I still don't think I've done the tipping point or the peak, whatever the fuck, because Lewis told me I didn't, and everyone else told me. And like, it's the one thing I'll go to Lewis for. Fucking,
Jesus.
I mean, drugs, it's like, you can't deny it. Lewis fucking knows.
Yeah.
Dude's getting shout outs from Rogan for his blunt rolling skills. So it's like, I don't know. It's a solid fucking, it's a solid guy for it. But he's told me one way. Harrington's told me another way. Butterley's now told me another way. So it's like, I have no idea. And honestly, I don't really give a shit because it's like, all right, why don't you guys all get together, you figure it out, and then you spread that out. And now everyone knows, instead of people being like, I don't know if it's a preference thing or if it's legitimately that's how you have to do it. That's my problem.
I think maybe it could be a preference thing, because I've heard of 2 different ways. I've only heard of 2. One is where you like layer it in weed, like a bong is normally best, and then you have to use like a flame torch, whatever type lighter, and then you layer it that way. And then the other way I heard, which is like supposed to be like the best way, is like through like a dab kit, basically,
with no weed.
Yeah, with no weed, where you're just straight. And I tried doing that because I have a dab kit. I got it in Vegas. I was like,
Nice.
oh, let me try this. And then I feel like I just wasted some of it, and I was like, oh no. So I just stuck with the weed thing. Again, I was like, I need a fucking like that bong or whatever attachment thing
Oh
for
yeah, yeah. That's what that kid left the one here, and it
mhm.
was here for like months because I was like, I don't even know what the fuck DMT is. So I was like, it just would sit. It was actually in this studio, like in the bookshelf.
Yeah.
And then I remember, I think it was Harrington. They came down to do shows, like a few of the gas guys, and
Hmm.
he crashed at the house at night. And I told him, I was like, oh, I have DMT. He's like, are you fucking serious? I was like, yeah, I don't know. It's been
Oh
sitting
yeah,
at the
Michael
fucking
loves
house.
DMT.
Yeah, I was like, it's just sitting at my house. And he came over and he was like, yo, where's it? It's all he was talking about. Like the whole night turned
Of
into that. And I
course
was
he
like,
was.
all
Yeah.
right. Went back to the house and I showed him it was in like a glass bowl with like a Tupperware top
Hmm.
on it. So when I opened it, or when I gave it to him, he opened it up. He's like, holy fucking shit. And I was like, what? He's like, this is so much. I was like, is it? I don't fucking know. Is
Yeah.
this a lot? He was like, yes. I was like, okay. And then he was a weed layer, dude,
Hmm. Well,
but
yeah, like the first time that I smoked it here in the city was with him
mhm,
because I had tried it years ago when I
okay,
was younger at a party and I was already wasted.
sure.
It was like once or twice, and I was like, whatever, never really paid attention to it. But yeah, it wasn't until I got it here, and I definitely had hit the peak or whatever the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah,
Because
that's what everyone's like, dude.
yeah.
I've had conversations with dragons, and I'm like, okay. And I don't know, maybe because I'm just I don't know. It's just to me that sounds insane. So I'm like, there's no fucking way that happens. But
Yeah.
I
See,
mean, I'm
I
still willing to
never.
try, but I don't know.
Yeah, but like I definitely saw things. Like it was one
Oh
time
yeah.
I was by myself and I took a big ass hit, and I live up on like 20 floor high rise building,
Hmm.
and I look outside, and then like the street, like everything just turns into a cartoon. It was really
Yeah. Yeah,
surreal.
I had something similar to that where it was
Yeah,
like
and it
you'd
was the
look
first
at
time.
something.
Yeah, it was the first time I ever had like really strong like visuals like that. Because
Mhm,
acid, stuff is swirly. Mushrooms, the same thing. There's no like hallucinations. Like there's no
sure.
dragons. Like the most hallucinations I've ever really had is like when I've been up on meth for like 2 or 3 days. Like
Oh, wow. Nice.
that's when I would see something like crazy, like a large Energizer bunny or a bunch of prison dudes in outfits rolling a big
Really?
red ball towards me. Yeah. Yeah, we were driving back from Chicago. I've already told this story on the
Oh.
show, but
I never dabbled with meth.
yeah, it's not, it was a thing that I tried. I tried a lot of drugs and I would go through phases of it. And I went through a little bit of a meth phase. I used to have like 2 bullets. I think I went last summer and got everyone a bunch of bullets. I think you may have even gotten one.
Probably.
But I had like a bullet that was coke and a little bit of meth, and then like my dad would give me some of his Klonopin, and then I would crush those up and put it in another one. So if I got too high, I would do a bump of.
Sure.
Yeah, no. And this, I was like 19. I was very fancy for 19.
That's you're high level at 19.
Yeah. It's fun because I stopped like really partying when I turned 21. Like that, I was just
You
like,
stop partying.
yeah, well, I still drank and I smoked weed and like
Oh,
mushrooms
okay.
here
Yeah,
and
yeah,
there,
but like the
but
harder
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, like the harder drugs. Like I got all that out between like I want to say pretty much like 16 till about 21, just experimented with a bunch of shit and then just like stopped. I was like, this isn't good for my health. This is
Yeah,
I don't want to end up like somebody
right.
I'm related to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah, I am a big fan of DMT though. And that's because it doesn't last that long, which kind of sucks, but it's
Yeah,
also
it's
one of those things where you don't think you want it to last too long. Like you don't want DMT to last as long as like an acid trip or like a mushroom trip.
I've
I
always
don't think.
compared it to nitrous. I've always
Yeah.
said a similar thing I mean, as high as I've gotten on DMT, it
Hmm.
is very similar to, not very similar. I'd say obviously a little bit harsher, but
Hmm.
with when you're like at the height of like you're sucking down a balloon, but
Yeah,
obviously
or where you
balloons
have
are
all of
30
the world's
seconds.
problems solved.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. You're like, now I see the problem. And then it's like you come back, you're like, I forgot what I was thinking about.
Oh, see, like, because I had like a cracker and stuff like that. I went and bought a bunch of like fucking little canister, like 300 on
you
Amazon.
Go to the fucking newsstand for the whippets.
Just so disgusting. But I was like, I'm gonna write down some of the stuff that I think of when I'm high on nitrous. You can't read a single fucking
You just
thing.
wrote out wah 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 wah.
It's just pretty much.
You're like, it seemed good at the time. I don't know.
It's just a bunch of scribbles. Like some of the stuff that I can like actually read, I'm like, I don't even know what that is. Yeah, I think that's the blessing and curse of certain drugs, is that like you get very enlightened, but remembering a lot of this.
Oh yeah. And the dumbest ideas. I mean, Coke is obviously number one, where it's like, you know what? There's a car. I saw it. I don't know whose it is, but I'm going to claim it and fix it up. I got duct tape. I got a hammer. Let's go. The next day, you're like, don't talk to me for 3 days.
I think with all like people who like do Coke and like they have all those plans, we're like, we're going to do this and this. A lot of those plans, like I've actually like kind of done because of the ADHD thing, like before I even knew I had it, because I just found out this past year that I had it. Like I would do a lot of those things. I'm like, oh no, this is a good idea, because it really did like help a little bit, which is so strange. Speaking of cocaine, I want you to wrap up with this is my favorite, I guess this is my favorite 9/11 story.
Yeah.
But it's actually kind of a cocaine story.
Six. Yeah. No, I mean, it's funny because when I talk about it, it's I never really try and say it's the 9/11 story, because it's always funny when to see people's reactions. But anyway,
sorry, did I ruin it? That one?
No, not at all. So basically, what happened was I was working at a restaurant down in Philly, and fucking next to the bar. Or no, this is in Media, down in Delco, so right outside the city. I was working at a restaurant. Next to the restaurant was a bar. It's a shithole. It's still there. I don't know how. It should have been fucking flattened years ago, but they didn't really card. They didn't really give a shit what was going on. It was just a local shithole. So everyone from the waiters and bartenders from my restaurant would go there because it was literally 10 feet away. So after a shift, I went there with my buddy who I was living with at the time, and this one dude who we worked with, who was a waiter. I fucking hated him. He was in there getting tuned up, and he thought he was cool. He's, fucking talking to the girls. Me and my buddy were hanging for a minute, but he was going to leave because he had a date later that night with this girl. So we went in there for a beer, and like we look over and we're kind of busting, like just making fun of that dude. And fucking, he starts getting into our ass, and he's like, yo, look at these two fucking blah, blah, blah. And we're like, all right, dude, take it easy, blah, blah, blah. We didn't really give a shit. Then he started getting like louder, and he's obviously not from a family like mine, where it's like, I don't know, if put it like this, if there's a lot of people around and you start talking like that, I'm gonna take fucking offense, because it's you're trying to fucking put me on the spot, and I don't fucking like it.
That's why my dad would flick me in the ear or something.
Yeah, I mean, it should be common sense, but of course there's morons that don't get it. So anyway, I'm sitting there, and I looked over, and I was like, dude, why don't you fucking relax? And then he was like, what's your fucking problem? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, dude, there's a fucking lot of people around. I don't know if you're fucking kidding. Relax. And he they started like talking about anything else. It got real quiet in there and awkward, which was funny. And then it was almost like a Goodfellas situation where he Billy Batsed me and was just like kind of, I forget what he said. I can never remember exactly what he said, but it was, very similar. It was like, quiet. And then all of a sudden he's like, go home and get your fucking shine box.
Yeah.
But he, obviously didn't say that. He said something. And I reacted just like Pesci in that movie, because I was waiting, and I was like, you motherfucker. And I grabbed an ashtray because you could smoke in there. And it was one of those thick old bar fucking glass ashtrays. And I fucking wung it at him. And I remember thinking like, don't hit him because it might kill him. And I fucking threw it, went over his shoulder, broke. We get kicked out. Dude, the bartender was like, all right, everybody separate, blah, blah, blah. Me and my buddy go back to the house. Okay. I don't know what the fuck he did. He I thought he left, to go meet that girl. And I went to bed. I was tired of shit. I was sober. You know, I had like 2 beers. I was sober. I went to bed. So we went back at like 1:30. So this is like 3:30 in the morning. I hear a knock on our door. I go out there and it's this fucking kid from the bar. And he's hammered and he's got a 6-pack of Heineken. And I opened the door. I was like, what the fuck are you doing here? He goes, dude, I don't like the way shit ended, blah, blah, blah. You know, and I was like, dude, it's fine. Just when there's a lot of people around and you start busting balls, make sure I'm on fucking board with it before you start doing that. Because if not, I'm going to break your fucking head. And next time I'm not going to fucking miss with that ashtray. And he's like, look, man, I get it, but I'll be real, we're boys. And I remember specifically telling him, we're not friends. I was like, dude, we're not friends. You know what I mean? Like, I just learned your first name the other day. I thought your last name was your first name. And fucking, he's bitching, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, we cool off. I go, look, man, it's fucking 3:30 in the morning. My neighbors fucking hate me. Any noise, they call the fucking cops or the whatever. Just, I'll talk to you tomorrow or the next day. Next time I see you at work, we're fine. And he was like, would you want a beer? And I said, nah, dude, I'm good. I appreciate it, but it's fine. And then he started like, he started, I started closing the door because he started walking away. He put down the 6-pack at my front door. To this day, I have no idea why. And then he got to like where my steps were on my porch and he turned around and just lost it. And he was just like, you know what? Fuck you, man. I fucking come over here, fucking try and, you know, flatten this fucking shit, blah, blah, blah. You know, you just fucking act like that, fucking blah, blah. And I turned around and I should have just shut the door and locked it. But I turned around. I was like, dude, I'm telling you right now, walk the fuck away because you're drunk. You're talking like an asshole and you need to get the fuck off my porch. Because at this point he was yelling and I was like, fuck, my neighbors hated us at the time. And he kept yelling and I don't know what it was, but I picked up one of those Heinekens and I fucking launched it at him. I was throwing a lot of stuff back then. And
at him specifically.
So when I reached to grab it, he knew I wasn't going to open it. So he started like running or stumbling down my steps. And I went, when I wung it, and I had a cannon back then, dude. I had a fucking strong ass arm. And it fucking hit off of his right top of his shoulder. And we lived right next to an alleyway. And I saw the beer bounce off and I didn't see it because it went into the alleyway. It's dark in there, whatever. And I heard it crash or break. And when I heard it break, I knew it didn't hit the ground. That's when I saw the red and lights come on because a cop was coming up the alleyway because the neighbors had called the cops and he had his lights off and it broke on the fucking hood and got onto the windshield. So I just remember like, at first I was like, for about 2 seconds, I remember being as mad as possible, but then I just started laughing like, of course, of fucking course. So they get out, they hit the berries, they fucking get out. He's fucking sitting there immediately fucking blaming everything on me. And this whole time, all that's happening, I turn around, I drop to my knees and I put my fucking hands on my head because it's like, I know this fucking routine.
Yeah.
This kid's an asshole. I'm just going to sit down here. Luckily, I knew the cop when he came up. I had some run-ins with him before, but good dude. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing? I remember that's how he opened up to me when I was up there. And I was like, well, here's what happened. I was home. He came to my house, apologized about being a dickhead earlier, said some shit. I gave him an opportunity to leave. He turned around, talked more shit. So I took that bottle out of that 6-pack and I fucking hit him with it. And that's what hit your car. I didn't throw it because he thought I threw it at the car. And I was like, dude, I couldn't even see you from my porch. You can't see because it's sunken down. So I was like, I couldn't even see you coming up. And he was like, Jesus Christ. And he's laughing. And I started laughing. And he's like, get up. I was like, why? He's like, because I got to take you in. That's what he was laughing about. Because I just admitted to fucking assault. And I was like, wait, no, I meant fucking he threw it. Damn it. But I was like, he was like, did you throw it at the car? I was like, absolutely not. I didn't even know you guys were there. You know, I threw it at him and hit him. He was like, all right, I got to take you in, you know, fucking obviously, you know, the neighbors called. So I was like, okay. Because at that point, when he said, I got to take you in, that meant you're going to go spend fucking 2 to 4 hours in the tank.
Yeah.
And
cool off a little bit.
Maybe a citation, whatever. So I said, all right, fuck this. So I'm in shorts, a t-shirt and fucking socks and shoes and fucking, they cuff me. Another car pulls up. They put him in there. And as they're bringing me out to the car, they're putting me in a separate car. I'm walking by the car that this kid's in. And I was like, you motherfucker, I'm going to fucking slice your bitch ass open when we get in there. And he's like, what's happening? Why am I getting it? Him bitching almost made all of that fucking worth it. He was crying immediately because he got cuffed.
Oh, little bitch.
So we get brought up to the police station. They bring us into the fucking tanks. And then at that police station, there's like 8 holding cells. He was in the last one. And then it was like 2 empty ones and then me. And, immediately when we got in there, it's like, you know, it's a fucking 3x3 with a steel bench and a steel toilet with sink. And they have the little like mail slots right there where they can push the stuff through. And I immediately started yelling through that. And I like topped my lungs. I was like, you cocksucker, dude. I was like, wait till we get to fucking county. I'm going to fuck you up when we get into county, dude. We get in the intake, dude. There's no walls in there. I'm going to fucking beat the shit out of you. And he had no idea like county was an option.
Yeah.
He was like, wait, what? What? What do you mean? I didn't fucking do anything, man. Why are we going to county? Dude, I'm sorry. I was like, no more sorries, motherfucker. I was like, wait till we get up there. I'm going to beat the shit out of you in intake. And that shit takes like 6 hours to fucking process you onto a fucking block. I'm going to beat your ass. So then the cops came in. They're like, shut the fuck up, 6. I was like, sorry about that. And I fucking sat down. So an hour goes by and I just remember being, you know, it's obviously freezing in there. Every fucking police cell in the world is -80. So fucking, I'm waving at them to be like, what's going on? Because I'm sober. So I don't really need to be in here. And I'm waving and they weren't coming. And legally they have to if they see, because there's a camera looks down on you. And I don't know. I think I fucking hit my breaking point. So I took my socks off because they had taken my shoes off. And they put them wherever. And I just had my socks, shorts, and t-shirt on. So I fucking took my socks off, stuffed them in the toilet, flushed them to try and, you know, jam it up. And it kind of jammed it. Then I took my t-shirt off. That did it. That was the breaking point. That toilet got clogged as fuck. It started overflowing. And then I look up. I'm like, hey, how about a little help down here? My toilet's overflowing. But the problem was they still didn't come in. So now the water is rising pretty quick. And I'm like, whoa, shit. I was like, if I fucking drown in a fucking holding cell, I'm going to kill somebody. So fucking the cops come in and they open the door to my cell. That was the best part of this whole thing, which was, well, second best part. When they open it up and just water goes fucking flying out on they're like, what the fuck? And I'm like, did you guys see me waving? I was waving. They're like, what the fuck happened to the toilet? And you just see like a sock go by. I'm like, I don't know. And I have no shirt on.
No socks. And you just have shorts on now. Yeah.
So they're like, dude, get the fuck out. And I remember walking out and what the other kids started yelling, like, why does he get to leave? They're like, shut the fuck up. He's like, can I call my grandmom?
Oh, no. My grandmom?
Yeah, dude, grandmom request was awesome. So then fucking... I get out there, they process me, they gave me a citation, which my mom still has a receipt to this day because she brings that up at parties, which is fun. And fucking, I'm sitting there, I'm like, am I done? They're like, you're good. Get the fuck out of here. And I was like, okay, well, it's like, I don't know, 6:30, like, see, it was like 6 a.m., 5:30, 6 a.m., something like that. And I was like, all right, well, dude, my house is like fucking 6 blocks from here. You know? They're like, yeah, not a far walk. I was like, walk? I was like, come on, dude, I can't get a fucking ride. And they're like, get the fuck out of here before we put you back in the fucking clogged up cell you just ruined. I was like, fair enough, because they were pissed. And I was, fair enough. So now I'm walking 6 blocks through this town at like, you know, 5:30, 6 a.m. with no shirt, no shoes or socks, and just mesh shorts. And the whole time
they didn't give you back your shoes?
No, actually they didn't. Fucking Christ, I never really thought about that. I didn't even think they asked. I just got when they said I'll put you back in the cell, I was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
You know, you get that opportunity. I fucking rolled. So I was walking down and I got back to my apartment. I walk in and like the TV was on and like music was playing. The TV was on silent. I remember that. It was on mute, but there was music playing. And I was like, fuck. I remember my roommate had that date. He must have brought her home. So now I'm just sitting in the living room like, what the fuck is going on? And he comes walking out and he's like, dude, what's up? And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? And he's like, yo, man, I fucked up. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, you remember that date I was supposed to go on? I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, she bailed. I was like, okay, so what the fuck are you doing up? What's going on? Keep in mind, this kid did not do drugs. He drank a little, he dealt coke, but he never really did anything. And he goes, I fucked up. Or no, he dealt coke. Keep in mind, this is after this scene, this part. Because he had no idea how coke worked, obviously. Yeah. He comes out and he's like, dude, I bottled that coke for this girl because she said we should do a bunch of coke and fuck. And I was like, yeah, so I did it. And I was like, cool. So what's the problem? He's like, well, she bailed and I bought all that coke. I was like, okay, we'll sell it, or whatever. What the fuck? What's the problem? He's like, I think I bought too much. And I was like, what did you bring? He brought out a record album and it had like a fucking, I forget what was on top of it, like a paper towel or something on this thing. And I was like, how much was it? And as I took that off, he told me, I was like, how much did you spend on it? He's like, $870. I was like, what? I was like, $870. He goes, yeah, dude. I was like, why did you buy that much fucking cocaine? He goes, you ever see a 20 bag? He showed me one, dude. That's not that much. I was like, it is. That's a good amount, dude. You don't need, it was like a fucking Nerf football of coke on this fucking record album. I go, what the fuck is this? He's like, I think I bought too much. I was like, yeah, dude. What are you, fucking Medellin? Relax with this shit. So then he's got a whole fucking fridge full of Natty Ice and Bud Ice pounders and a fucking record album full of fucking $870 worth of blow. He did like this much blow, like a half a line was tuned. Because he, like I said, he never did drugs.
He never did it.
So he's like, do you want to do some of this? I was like, dude, I should be asleep. And fucking dickhead showed up. I just spent the last fucking 3 hours in a tank. I've lost my socks and my t-shirt because I flushed them down that goddamn toilet. You're goddamn right. I want some of that blow. Line them up. And fucking, I started doing blow. I popped a Natty Ice pounder. And then about 45 minutes later was when the plane hit the first tower. That was 9/11. That was my 9/11 morning.
That was your 9/11.
And I was American as fuck. I was ready to kill people. I was like, I'm going to take this coke and go to Afghanistan and kill bin Laden.
Afghani coke, that I heard they had.
Oh, man. Yeah. So that was, it was a rough morning for me. Not my greatest time.
Did you ever get back your shoes from the cops?
No, they actually have my shoes. They have a spare set of keys because one night I got pulled over with two of my friends, Adrian and Cindy. And that was actually, for all you kids listening out there, cocaine actually saved me a fucking DUI. I was at the bar. I was drinking with I swear to God, I was drinking with my two friends. And fucking, I luckily did like 3, maybe 4 lines right before I left the bar we were going to go to another bar. I was driving with my two friends and Cindy, her father had just passed away like 2 nights prior to this. We're driving. I fucking run a stop sign that they just put in. Like I know that neighborhood and that area very well, that part of Philly. So I knew it very fucking well. And fucking dude, cop pulls me over. I was like, what's going on? They're like, you just ran a stop sign. I was like, when did that go in? They're like, oh, a couple weeks ago, you missed it. Get out of the car. They smelled alcohol, obviously.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, this is maybe 8 minutes after I finished my 4th line. So I was like, let's go. I'll fucking hop on one leg. Like, I'll recite fucking the Arabic alphabet backwards. I don't give a fuck. So they start going through it. The one thing I couldn't do, though, was the one leg, like hold it up. And that's not because of drinking. It's because of past injuries. My right knee I can't do that. So for some reason I made up a lie about how I had hockey injuries when I could have just said skateboarding. I don't know why I said hockey. I've never played organized hockey in my life. And fucking, she goes, and then the breathalyzer comes. I fail that, but it was like by a hair. And right when, dude, Cindy is in the back of my car screaming, my dad is dead and laid up at the funeral parlor 3 blocks from here. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. This woman cop looks at me and all of a sudden you hear shots fired down at blah, blah. I was like, she's like, all right. And I was like, holy shit. She looks at me and goes, you are very fucking lucky right now. Give me the fucking keys. Come back when you're sober. You'll get your car. And we walked to the bar and I was like, I'm a fucking above the law. I'm the best.
All that courage.
Dude, funny thing was, I went back like 2 hours later to get my key. They're like, 6, you're still drunk. I was like, fuck you. I got drunker and then went back.
You literally went to another bar.
Yeah, I was like, dude, they're not going to fucking smell it. I remember telling my older brother, and he was like, they don't need to smell it. There's a thing called a breathalyzer. Okay. You fucking retard. I was like, damn it. Yeah, they got me on that.
Yeah, I've never failed a breathalyzer. For some reason, I'm very good at faking them.
I don't know how you can fake them.
Well,
I remember hearing the penny under your mouth or some bullshit.
Well, honestly, anything, a piece of gum, and this is how I know this works, because one, I went to school to be a cop, and this is something like we actually had like an extra credit for one of our classes where they had a bunch of new recruits that were going to give a sobriety test. So they got a bunch of the students fucking hammered, but they were like calculating and be like, okay, first hour you have this drink, next hour, so they were doing it. And then like at the last hour we got to drink whatever. But this is when I was a drinker, like a Wisconsin.
You're pounding them, you're buying
like
rounds.
I'm like a bottle of vodka perfectly fine drinker. And because remember, I am still a degenerate. Like I stopped smoking weed, but I was still pretty big at drinking. And they see, like my teachers see how much I am drinking, and they're like, oh, she's going to be fun for this thing. I passed every single one of their tests. All the tests, and they're like,
that's
all right,
the easiest. The nose thing,
the nose thing,
I could do that on
all
DMT.
of the anything, but I'm also like laughing, cracking jokes, like being how I would normally be with a cop. Like I'm being like with some of them, I'm being combative because they told us to do that.
Is it true if do they ask about saying the alphabet backwards just because they want to see if you'll do it?
Oh, well, no. I actually, one time I did get pulled over. I forgot what came after W.
I couldn't do it. I'd say Z and be like, the rest. I don't know.
Well, no, I think the trick. Well, no, they always say because people are like, I can't even do that sober.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But the key with I can't believe I'm teaching people this is that because they want you to take deep breaths, right? Because that pumps all the alcohol and oxygen and all that stuff all through your body and will help release it. So when they say take a bunch of deep breaths, I just keep all the oxygen and air that I have in my mouth. And like I had a piece of gum in my mouth and just act like, and I have titties, so most of the time they're not paying attention to me actually breathing.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, and keeping the air in my mouth and then just blow whatever I have there. Yeah, I have. I was drinking for 12 hours at a breathalyzer and I only blew a 0.04.
Damn.
So that is, you just got to keep all the air in your mouth and then blow it out. That way, I'm so glad I taught people that. That's great.
I'm sure people know already. I just never looked into it,
Yeah, no, I mean, that's how, I have never failed a breathalyzer because of that. All right. This was super fun. Where can people find you online?
So you could just, social media is just, at Brian6, BRIN, and then the number 6IX. And then you could listen to, the podcast. I mean, Shayner do, it's called You Fucked It. That's on YouTube. There's a Patreon. All the links are on our social media. Follow that stuff. Give us money. Good stuff if you like two idiots with no agenda. Alia, you've done it. You understand.
I have. It's very fun.
Shayner on here.
Yeah, Shayner was actually like the second guest.
There you go.
Obviously the show How to Do Drugs on all of the wonderful podcast platforms. If you guys want me to read your emails or opinions, stories on drugs, you can email me at howtododrugsnyc@gmail.com. I think I have the first one up already, and then they'll be up every second Monday of the month. Everything else, you already know. Have a good day.